Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to the 2017 Oklahoma Military Hall of Fame Induction Banquet. I'm Colonel Jerry Shiles, President of the Oklahoma Military Heritage Foundation and host for the event tonight. We're so pleased you all are here, but I want to give you a little bit of history. For the past 18 years, on or near the weekend celebrating Veterans Day, OMHF sponsors and hosts the Oklahoma Military Hall of Fame annual induction ceremony and banquet, honoring individual military personnel or organizations that have demonstrated heroic gallantry in action, uncommon valor, sacrifice above and beyond the call of duty, or extraordinary leadership. These people define Oklahoma's military heroes.
The next inductee is Colonel Tom J. Rounsaville, United States Army, deceased. Nominated by his brother, Lieutenant Colonel Glow Lendell Rounsaville, the ambassador in charge is Army Captain Kevin O'Fell. The acceptor for honoree is his nephew, Colonel Paul Dean Rounsaville. Colonel Tom J. Rounsaville was born the 23rd of July, 1919 near Durant, Oklahoma, and grew up in Atoka. He enlisted in the United States Army in 1940, was assigned to the 180th Infantry Regiment of the 45th Infantry Division. He was selected to Officer Candidate School in 1942. As a first lieutenant, Rounsaville was assigned to the 11th Airborne Division in the Southwest Pacific. Rounsaville volunteered and was selected to the 6th Army's new intelligence collection group called Alamo Scouts. For action on the 4th and 5th of October, 1944, near Cape Oransbari, he received the Bronze Star for heroism with scout teams that rescued 66 Dutch and Javanese held prisoner by the Japanese. From 21 November to 12 December 1944, Rounsaville would be awarded his second Bronze Star for gallantry on Masbate Island, Philippines. In January 1945, the Scouts were part of a Ranger force that liberated 511 American and Allied prisoners of war, including survivors of the Bataan Death March near Cabanatuan, Luzon. After a 25-mile night march, an assault was launched and all guards were killed. The prisoners were led 3 miles to safety, many in poor physical condition, being hand-carried. While en route, the rescuers encountered and repulsed over 800 Japanese. For their heroic actions, members of the Alamo Scouts and Ranger Force were awarded the Silver Star. The raid is memorialized in books and a movie called The Great Raid. In total, the Rounsaville team would spend 153 days behind enemy lines by the war's end. Rounsaville continued to serve in direct combat during the Korean War. During the Vietnam conflict, he used his knowledge of jungle warfare to design realistic stateside training. In 1966, he received the Legion of Merit Award as Chief of Staff, Joint Task Force 11, United States Strike Command. Rounsaville's additional awards include another Silver Star, 2 more Bronze Stars, the Joint Service Commendation, the Purple Heart, Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal, the World War II Victory Medal, the Korean Service Medal, and the Philippine Liberation Medal. In 1988, the Scouts were awarded the Special Forces tab for their services in World War II. Rounsaville died on the 14th of April, 1999, and is buried at Fort Benning, Georgia's Post Cemetery. Ladies and gentlemen, accepting for Colonel Tom J. Rounsaville, United States Army, is his nephew, Colonel Paul Dean Rounsaville.
It is humbling to receive this induction on behalf of the Rounsaville family in honor of Colonel Tom J. Rounsaville, United States Infantry. Like the other 9 inductees in this 2017 induction, Tom had the spirit of the warrior and a heart of a patriot. Serving his country for over 30 years, Tom was literally larger than life. And his leadership in combat or training soldiers was exceptional. In World War II, he was trained and selected to be a member of the Alamo Scouts, forerunner of today's United States Army Special Forces, which I have served in for over 30 years. His story and that of the Alamo Scouts has been told and written about in many books. He is a true hero. He spent his 30-plus years as an outstanding soldier on and off the battlefield. He has been rewarded with many citations, ribbons, and medals, but Tom never talked about these. However, he was very proud to be called a soldier. Tom's spouse, Mary, and son, Major Retired Peter Rounsaville, were always supportive of Tom's military career and enjoyed military life whenever and wherever they could be with Tom. Tonight in attendance are Tom's 3 living siblings, Mrs. Fern Rounsaville Brown, Mrs. Marilyn Rounsaville Giles, and his brother, Lieutenant Colonel Retired United States Air Force, Glow Lindell Rounsaville, and many nieces, nephews, cousins, and friends from Oklahoma and many other states. We are honored to have our cousins, Miss Donna Davis, niece of Tom's favorite cousin, Curtis Garner. The family called him Cactus Jack. Curtis lived in Lehigh, Oklahoma, 8 miles north of Atoka, Oklahoma. Curtis served in World War II, killed in action near Campoleone, Italy, as part of the Anzio campaign on 1st June 1944. The German flag he helped capture at Anzio is currently on display at the 45th Infantry Division Museum in Oklahoma City. We have a special guest at our table, Mrs. Linda Nellis of the Alamo Scout Association, daughter-in-law of Lieutenant Bill Nellis, an Alamo Scout team leader who served alongside Tom, and they remained lifelong friends. And Lieutenant Nellis took part in the Cabanatuan raid with Tom and many other raids throughout the Philippine archipelago. Tom was the second of 10 children. His parents were Delbert Hartwell and Mittie Marie Garner Rounsaville. His father was an educator in Atoka County and a postmaster of Atoka for many years. Tom was raised and educated in Atoka, Oklahoma, an alumni of the Atoka High School Hall of Fame. As a young boy and man, Tom spent many days and nights hunting and fishing in the woods, streams, and rivers of Atoka County in southeastern Oklahoma. He in later life would give credit to these years as had been the great training for what he would one day be asked to do in the service. Tom's family faithfully followed Tom and his 3 brothers' war years, praying for their safe return from the battles of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Tom's 3 brothers, Captain Delbert A. Rounsaville, United States Air Force, served in World War II and Korea. Lieutenant Forrest Speck Rounsaville, United States Army, served in Korea. Lieutenant Colonel Retired Glow Rounsaville, United States Air Force, served in the Cold War of the 50s and 60s in Vietnam. He is my father. I had the unique experience to live with my Uncle Tom for about a year. I can only sum up our nights together as an education in life and leadership. Every night that I was not in the field at Fort Benning was a series of life lessons in learning about soldiers and learning how to lead them in combat. Every lesson was founded in 3 key areas. Keep it simple, focus on the basics, and no plan outlasts first contact. But regardless, you have to have a plan. These 3 lessons guided me through my 30 years of military service. And if you are interested in knowing personal insights into my uncle, Colonel Tom Rounsaville, the warrior, the patriot, the man, please engage Table 2. You will surely gain greater insights from his siblings than I could ever discuss in this short time. Finally, our family would like to thank the Oklahoma Military Hall of Fame staff, volunteers, and ambassadors, specifically Colonel Kelly Zacco, Mr. John Ferris, Mr. Kevin Oval, and probably the hardest working crasher at the end of the 30 days, Miss Eve Cushing. Without these dedicated personnel, Tom's induction into this outstanding Hall of Fame would not have been possible. Again, our family is humbled to be in the company of the patriots here tonight and their families present here tonight. Pray for our Oklahoma National Guard and all of our service members, which tonight are in harm's way, and in the future and wherever they serve. Thank you. Strength and honor. My uncle was born in 1919 in Durant, Oklahoma. He was reared in Atoka, Oklahoma. His father was a postmaster and an educator. His mother was a homemaker. He grew up in Atoka, Oklahoma, fished and hunted in the streams, the lakes, the woods. He played football. He was a president of the senior class of Atoka High School. He was a very outgoing individual. He definitely had the spirit of a warrior. We would talk about World War II and the Alamo Scouts and the great men he knew, Bill Nellis, other team leaders, the multiple missions they did, the most famous being the Banquet raid, where they rescued over 500 American POWs. Many of them had made the Bataan Death March. And the Alamo Scouts were a unique organization in that General Walter Kruger, the 6th Army commander, formed them because he had a lack of intelligence gathering forward of himself. The Army was not the priority. It was the Navy and the Army Air Corps at that time. So he formed these small teams of men, 6 to 8, led by a lieutenant. And they went through an assessment and selection process that would take Army soldiers from throughout the Pacific Theater. You volunteered. He was that type of man. As soon as he got in theater, he heard about this Alamo Scout organization. He volunteered for it. So he went through airborne training there and then went through the selection and assessment program, was selected, and became a team leader. And he decided the Army life was for him. So he went back in, and he went back in as a captain. At this time, we were getting close to the Korean conflict. The battalion commander found a tank, and they were all on foot. He got in the tank, and he left the unit and went back to the 1st Cavalry Division headquarters, which was south of the now current DMZ. Everyone else was retrograding back. Tom was now the de facto battalion commander. Some of the other battalions, as they retrograded, they left their crew-served weapons, their machine guns, their mortars. Tom wouldn't let that happen. He retrograded back with all those things, and he had 1 deuce and a half. During the retrograde, he recounted to me late at night during the dark hours, when he got very melancholy. He relayed to me the horror of running out of ammunition 2 hours in the darkness, and it was hand to hand the entire time. And that was on 4, 5, or 6 occasions he recounted during the recall. Colonel Fink relays in a writing that I've submitted to the Oklahoma Military Hall of Fame as part of the submission package that when the battalion commander got back to the headquarters, the division commander asked for the disposition of his unit, and the battalion commander said they're scattered everywhere, and he said, "Is that so? Well, whoever the hell that Major Rounsaville is, he's got 300 Indians out there still fighting." That's about the extent of the Korean War. He went to Vietnam for an orientation visit because he had just taken charge of a training brigade at Fort Gordon, Georgia. As a part of that orientation visit, he saw immediately that the training that was going on in his brigade to prepare draftees to go into combat was inadequate. It was range firing. He came back and built Vietnamese villages, dug tunnels, built traps, bamboo traps,
and modified the training, especially the field training, where it was stripped down. You carried water and ammo and very little food. And you know, the Alamo Scouts, when they were out, he would recount that they would be on an island for 3 weeks, and they would follow the Japanese patrols between each position on the island. They would have runners with rice and fish, and they would hide, and they would kill the runner, and they would harvest the food from him, and that's how they fed themselves. The Cabanatuan raid is obviously the most famous, you know, for his career in World War II, and it's well documented, about 5 books. There is a movie. It's a movie, but that was a textbook raid. There's a huge stone monument, like a spherical monument, and there's the names of prominent Americans around it that participated in the raid, as well as Philippine guerrillas, and Tom's name is on that monument. I'm very blessed and honored to be here today to receive this honor on behalf of the Rounsaville family, and humbled and just really thankful of this organization.